Welcome to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Come on to the theatre.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 37 of the Manx Theatre Podcast with me, Neil Callan. Thank you to everyone who's listened to our previous episodes. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome along and thanks for joining us. In this podcast, we like to try and keep you up to date with what's going on in theatre on the Isle of Man, chat to the cast and creatives of upcoming shows to find out a little bit more about the shows and the people behind them, and keep you up to date with what our Manx born and bred performers are doing further afield.
Coming up on this week's podcast.
I'm joined by three members of the cast of Taylorian Productions' upcoming production of 42nd Street, which opens at the Gaiety Theatre this Saturday, the 6th of August, and runs through to the 20th of August. You can still listen to all of our previous episodes through all the usual podcast outlets and at manxradio.com/podcasts. Whilst you're there, make sure to give us a like, subscribe, follow, or whatever it is you need to do to make sure you never miss an episode. Now, in the last episode, I gave you an update on what a few of our Manxies are getting up to across the water. I mentioned that former Douglas Choral Union member and now professional performer and choreographer Matt Overfield was part of the cast for the new UK production of Mrs. Doubtfire. But what I didn't know was that along with various ensemble parts, he would also be covering three of the main roles. These roles include Frank Hillard, who is the makeup artist brother of Daniel Hillard, who helps turn him into Mrs. Doubtfire, Mr. Jolly, who presents the kids' TV show he eventually takes over, and the dual role of Daniel Hillard and Mrs. Doubtfire. Congratulations, Matt. That's amazing news. Sam Barks performed as Florence Vassy in Chess the Musical in concert this week at the Theatre Royal on Drury Lane, alongside Hedley Fraser as Anatoly and Joel Harper-Jackson as Freddie Trumper. They gave 3 performances over the 1st and 2nd of August. These performances also featured the pre-recorded voice of former ITN newsreader Sir Trevor MacDonald as the newscaster. This weekend sees the start of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and Hello Little People will be joining the team at Comedy Club for Kids this year to perform at the Assembly Roxy. At the Ballacomine Studio Theatre, they continue their season of National Theatre live screenings. On the 8th of September, they will be showing Much Ado About Nothing, starring Catherine Parkinson from TV's The IT Crowd, and John Heffernan from BBC's Dracula, in the lead roles of Beatrice and Benedict. On the 10th of October, there's a screening of Jack Absolute Flies Again. This is a comedy from the team behind NTL's productions of One Man, Two Governors and Twelfth Night, and is based on Richard Brinsley Sheridan's The Rivals. It sees pilot officer Jack Absolute fly home after an aerial dogfight to win the heart of his old flame, Linda Languish. There is also a screening of The Seagull on the 3rd of November, starring Emilia Clarke, who played Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones. She is making her West End debut in this 21st century retelling of Anton Chekhov's tale of love and loneliness. All the screenings, along with many others, including Shakespeare's Richard III, Aida, Madame Butterfly, La Boheme, and many, many more, are also available at the King's Court Theatre in Castletown. King's Court Theatre are also providing you with another chance to see Jodie Comer of Killing Eve, making her London West End debut in the UK premiere of Susie Miller's award-winning play, Prima Facie. Jodie plays Tessa, a young, brilliant barrister who has worked her way up from working-class origins to be at the top of her game, defending, cross-examining, and winning. An unexpected event forces her to confront the lines where the patriarchal power of the law, burden of proof, and morals diverge. This performance includes sensitive subject matter, including references to sex, violence, and rape, and as such has been rated a 15. The Service Players have announced some play readings to help choose their November production at the Gaiety Theatre. The readings are open to all and will take place in the meeting room at the Archibald Knox pub in Onchan at 7 p.m. on Thursday the 4th and Monday the 8th of August. They'll be reading Steel Magnolias, Night Must Fall, and The Lady Vanishes. If you want to go, I'm sure you can get in touch with Service Players through their Facebook page. Make sure you keep up to date with what's going on between episodes by following Manx Theatre Podcast on both Facebook and Instagram, and at Manx Theatre Pod on Twitter. Okay, down to business. I'm joined on the podcast today by Kate Stobart, Rhys McGowan, and Harrison Langham from the cast of 42nd Street. Kate, Rhys and Harrison, welcome to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I say welcome, Kate. This is your second time, isn't it?
I know, yes.
You were
but
on...
this is post-pandemic now.
Yes.
So
well, yeah, you were on 3 years ago with Neil, weren't you? Neil King, when you came on to talk about the Addams Family.
It was the Addams Family, yeah.
And you were Morticia Addams.
I was, yeah. That was, gosh, that feels like such a lifetime ago now.
It does.
It was such a brilliant show. But
It was fantastic. And you won several awards for it as well, didn't they?
yeah, they're kind of still going because everything's been so delayed with the pandemic. The awards for that year are still rippling over. Yeah, we did really well at Nodas, which was a really fun trip when we went pre-pandemic. We just kind of did the trip just before COVID hit, and it was a huge lot of us went, and we had a really fun weekend. It was really great.
Lots of drinking going on. Always, I mean, socialising, bit of networking with the other societies. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so chaps, you are this year's contingent of the Arts Ed boys.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yes, I mean it's a fairly long-standing relationship now that Taylorian have with Arts Ed. I think Matt James is a former Arts Ed alumni himself, but I think for the last
the other day,
Legend.
for the last is there not a plaque down there?
sadly not. There's
Sadly
not.
not.
Maybe one day we'll get one.
maybe we need to get that sorted out. Yeah. Yeah, but for the last five years, I think it is, since 2017, when Chris started coming as director, we've had a few Arts Ed boys each year, and it's been quite interesting actually watching the boys and their careers developed after year, because everyone seems to be end of year one. Is that right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a nice little bit of experience for you at the end of your first year. Yeah.
It's been a whirlwind this week.
Yeah.
Like coming my first time on the island and just being like thrown in a week of rehearsals, and it's been amazing. Like everyone's really welcomed us, and it feels like an honour to be part of like a little part of Taylorian, and as like the Arts Ed boys.
Yeah.
So even after seeing we went to see the theatre this morning. It was like magical. It literally was like walking into its own little planet. And like after seeing how big it is and how like I think as soon as you walk into the theatre, you just get a big massive feeling or vibe or like feeling of some sort of emotion or something, just probably because of its history and like how nice it is inside and stuff. And the fact that we get to perform in that size of a auditorium before third year, even like at the end of first year, is such a good opportunity.
We're very spoilt on the island with having such a wonderful theatre like that we can just do any show that we want in there. It's brilliant. And that little bit of water that keeps us on the island helps us with getting amazing shows as well, because quite often the rights holders view that bit of water as not being a threat to any of the UK touring companies, or even from the London shows. So we have that bit of distance that gives us the ability to do fantastic shows like 42nd Street and Phantom and Cats and things like that we've done that another society in St Helens or in Ireland that they probably just wouldn't get.
No.
Yeah. Literally, it feels like everyone takes it. Maybe serious isn't the right word, but like, you can feel the passion for it that people have, and maybe like the public has for it around here. I can see that, definitely.
Yeah, there's so much respect, even from people telling us all this week before we went in to see it, how they talked about the theatre. It was so respectful and so obviously
we're quite proud of it, aren't we?
And like people who've lived here their whole lives, and they still acknowledge how amazing it is, rather than just being like, oh, it's just the gaiety. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean
so cool.
It was a big passion project for a few people a few years back, sort of like back end of the 70s, 80s. It was not a great place, and I think it was very almost sort of sold off and demolished at one point, but then I think government took it on and they got a group of people in, and there was a big full renovation done, and it's amazing the work that they've done to bring it back to the state that it is fantastic. But it's always great seeing guys like yourselves coming in and just that sort of first glimpse of the theatre. When people growing up in the Isle of Man, they're used to this theatre all the time, and they don't realise how lucky we are to have something as amazing as this. And I guess you guys might have been just rehearsing in church halls and things like that.
Yeah. Well, like even like we've just finished our first year, and like in the first year we've been lucky enough to go see West End shows and go to theatres and stuff.
Yeah.
They have nothing. They literally have nothing on how nice it is on the inside, and even on the outside it's really, really clean. You don't really see that usually, and I think that's also a bit of that's what makes it special as well. It's just the fact that it is such a nice auditorium just to perform in anyway.
Yeah, it's like a glimpse of... It's like living the dream for like 2 weeks. It's an incredible opportunity. It's incredible, yeah.
So coming in then with literally just a week, 10 days before the show opens, I guess that's a little bit daunting?
Yeah. I think we can both agree that we were nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before
definitely.
coming. Obviously, because of the previous Arts Ed boys, we felt like we've had shoes to fill, and because like we look up to them obviously, and it's been a whirlwind, but I think it's been lovely to just kind of set everything else aside in your life and just like focus on this. Like this is our life for like a month, and I wouldn't want to be spending my summer anywhere else. So
no.
These guys have been amazing. They've learned a whole show in about 6 days, and every single move, blink, head turn is just completely Shazam the whole time. And I've not fully learnt it in 5 months, and they've just gone, that's it, in 5 days. And I'm like, right, can you show me how to do this? And how do you do that shoulder shimmy? And how do you make that head sharp? And I'm now asking them, and that's less than a week since meeting. And
Youth is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
What are you trying to say?
She's playing herself down though. You're on it as well.
We've still had to rise to it.
Yeah.
I must say we
It's
have.
been amazing.
But I guess you guys have been, for the last year, you've been solidly sort of, you're singing, you're dancing, as each week, well, every day, every week, and you've got to get that point where you get into a state of just being like a sponge. You can just absorb everything. So when you just sort of dropped into a position like this, well, it's like we're just doing the next sort of show, the next part of our training, I guess, and you can pick it up really quickly because you know all the steps. When Chris is talking about a particular tap step or whatever, you know what he's on about and you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, we're always learning. We're nowhere near the finished product, if there ever is a finished product. And perfection isn't real.
Yeah.
And we've just we've had no choice but to just completely get into this and absorb everything we can.
And the thing is as well, we do get arts, we do 10-hour days, 5 days a week, but you will never ever get the opportunity in training to learn so much information within a week that you have to perform for 2 weeks after. Do you know what I mean? You'll never get the opportunity to rise and I don't know how to describe it other than the fact. Yeah, I don't really know how to describe it other than the fact that we've just been able to come in and
well, this is the job you've been training for. Those 10-hour days were so you could come here and do this 10-hour day where you did a job at the end of it, and you did it amazingly.
But also, I think, me and Harrison were saying as well that we feel like we've finally got the magic again, because I feel naturally that in training you will just lose a bit of it. You just kind of get used to it and you don't realise how lucky you are to be there.
Yeah.
And then when you come and you actually get to... We heard the band call today for the first time, and we started crying.
It's my favourite part of any show.
It's insane. And I haven't been to a band call in 5 years because of COVID and just going into training and stuff. I don't know if you've...
No, to be honest, I've not been to a proper band call, and it's just why we do it.
Yeah.
To just hear the music. Yeah. It's just its purest form. It's incredible.
They just come out of the Gaiety. They've just told me this on the way down. They just come out of the theatre and they were like, oh my God, that theatre's amazing. And then the trumpets are going and the drums and percussion's going. And then they just imploded.
We looked at each other and I saw Harrison welling up and I was like, no, surely not. We can't be starting to cry. That is so embarrassing.
Get it together, guys.
Yeah, Emma said the brass is just sounding amazing.
Oh, it was amazing today. Yeah, we were really whooping and hollering nearly at the end of every number.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's...
Just listening to them,
this show as well, to do this show and have that band, it
is a dream show.
It's incredible. It is definitely.
We've got Kelvin Towers again as MD, and when he's waving the stick, everyone listens, don't they? It's never a poor show with Kelvin on the baton.
No, he's so on it.
He's amazing.
That's the only way to describe it. He's so on everything. Even today, watching him conduct an entire orchestra, I was like, wow, you're not just someone who, we see him every day in the rehearsal room, just bashing out note bashes and stuff, but then when you see him leading a full 11, 12 piece orchestra, you're like, wow. And his attention to detail is insane as well. And
he knows when someone's not quite right, someone's on a wrong note.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I always find it amazing as well when you get an MD like Kelvin who will kind of who listen to 30 people singing and will go, Kate, you're not quite on your line there.
And he can pick you out.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's what?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is phenomenal. So anyway, 42nd Street, it's almost upon us. Like I said, today is, it's Sunday the 31st of July. You open on the 6th of August, so that is literally 6 days away.
Yeah.
not to get everyone nervous, but we're into the final stretch. So today was get-in day. I was down this morning helping lugging all of the flight cases in and getting that up.
Thank you.
And of course today and this afternoon you've had Sits Probe as well, which is just awesome. So how are we feeling?
Excited. We're not nervous. We're excited.
Yeah. I think I think
there'll always be a couple of nerves.
Just a little.
It's the best way though. We care about it, and so we want to do our best. And I think the nerves will help us.
Yeah, I think what has helped is how everyone really actually has taken us in, and not even in the friendly way. Obviously, there's that too, but even like Misha is the dance captain.
Yeah.
And we literally walked in the first day and she grabbed us and she knew exactly what the vibe was, where our heads were at. Like she was just so in our headspace as well as us freaking out. But she wasn't freaked out. She was just so chill.
Yeah.
Which made us chill, which made us learn it faster and like be more confident with things. And then, but I think like had we not have had such a warm welcome, I don't know where we'd be now. Like I don't know that we'd be ready to see the theatre today.
It's that old adage, isn't it? It's the theatre family. It's one big happy family, and you always get that with every Taylorian show. It's brilliant.
This is my first Taylorian, and you just don't know what to expect, and it's just been great, and everyone's been so friendly, and everyone in all the societies I've gone to have been great and been friendly, but there are subtle differences, and it's really been a journey. And then sometimes when we're all on stage, it feels like we're a really big cast, and then other times when we're sat around the room, it feels really small, and we do really all know each other, and everyone is so nice and rooting for each other. And
that's a nice thing with Taylorian as well, is that we have three big societies on the island. There's the Manx Operatic Society, the Douglas Choral Unit, and Centre Stage Productions. They're the three sort of big musical theatre societies, and there is a kind of a core that kind of sticks with each society. There's a few people that drift from one to the other depending on what the shows are, but Taylorian has no sort of core membership like that, and it can be a completely different cast every year, and it's just a whole brand new group of people that comes along, and it seems to work every year as well.
We just embrace everybody.
And there's a sort of a high standard level with Taylorian that everyone expects and what you get as well.
That's the thing as well. Like it doesn't feel like an amateur society or anything like that at all. It literally does feel, even in the rehearsal room, it feels like a professional production. How everyone has their track sheets ready for if they're even practicing their quick changes on the side, and we haven't even been for fittings for costumes yet, but we're still trying to. I've never been in a rehearsal room where everyone's been so on it. It's
and
crazy.
Chris has just really
my God,
nurtured us. Like everyone is so respectful, and like he knows what we need, and he's just been so supportive, and he like has understood that we've literally just come into this. And
like I said, Chris Cumming, the director, he also teaches at Arts Ed, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So did you know him before through that?
We did.
Yeah. And like I said, obviously he's been doing this for 5-6 years now with Taylorian, so he knows that the Arts Ed boys come in with a week, 10 days to pick things up. So I guess he's used to it now. He knows how to slot everyone into everything, and away they go. I mean, some of the shows they've done as well with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang a few years back, and Tom Dickerson, who was an Arts Head boy, he came over and he played Caractacus Pot. I think he may have had a few weekends beforehand, but he was still quite a short period in the run into the show to pick the whole thing up and go with it. So, and a technical show like that as well is amazing.
With a car that flies, like, and I swear he has to drive it as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was
I
really
haven't even
good.
applied for my professional. Never mind. Learn to drive a flying car.
I was quite fortunate on Saturday. On Saturday, I was up at Ballycameen. My daughter's she was at Stage Ed, which is a little sort of a drama school from that's run by Stephen Paltham, who's a guy originally from the Isle of Man, but he was in the West End playing Mickey in Blood Brothers for 20 years. So he runs a little stage school for a couple of weeks over the summer, and they do a week of singing and dancing, and then on the Saturday afternoon they put on a show. But after that, we managed to get up to the canteen to see all of the costumes up there, and there are some amazing costumes, some fantastic dresses. There's a lot of shoes.
Yeah.
I still don't even know all the shoes that we've got. Have you got all your shoes yet?
No,
we've not seen
The wardrobe.
We've
is
amazing.
amazing.
Seen one very special pair of shoes.
Yeah, one very, very special pair of shoes. But there are over 350 costumes, isn't there?
Because most of them are new for us as well.
Yeah.
Nearly all of them made. And the fabrics are amazing. They're going to look incredible all sort of stood and sat next to each other. We've just sort of seen them, the girls' stuff in isolation.
Yeah.
It's just going to be incredible.
I believe Chrissy's
really
got some fantastic gowns. And
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, I was awing her pile, and it was just like a pile on the table. It wasn't even on her, and I was like, oh, that! Yeah,
sequins and furs and everything.
Yeah. It's really going to be visual spectacle.
Yeah. And Emma's like, I wish I had more shoes that didn't have buckles for all of those quick changes. Although I think she did point out that her finale dress, which is real sort of sequined and gorgeous, but then she has like a pair of sort of diamante stilettos for the tap number at the end.
Oh,
that's going to be fun.
Crazy.
She'll sell it from the waist.
Yeah.
She'll be fine.
She'll nail it. She'll be fine. Yes.
She'll sell it anyway. She's really, really good.
She's really good.
Incredible.
So the costume designer then, Kirk Wills, I believe some of these are bespoke pieces as well. They're brand new and made for the people, and I think there are some I saw one dress of Chris's, I believe it is, that's an exact copy of the same outfit that Bonnie Langford wore.
Wouldn't surprise
Wouldn't
me.
surprise me. So
literally would not surprise me one bit.
It all looks so it really fits the period. It's 1930s. You either didn't have much and you were very uniformed, or if you had a little bit, you just had all these beautiful colours and fabrics and feathers and sequins and all sorts. They've been working very hard behind the scenes.
Yes, I did see some rather nice sort of feathery headdresses and things like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's for
Just for the boys, is it, as well?
Oh, yeah. That's for me.
Casual.
I've got one of those. I've never worn anything like it. They call it showgirl, but
Yeah.
it's like a hat with feathers, and then there's something for your shoulders with feathers, and yeah, should be able to dance in it, I hope.
Yeah. Bless the costume
Should be
team
right.
as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's a
be
great
fun.
costume team there as well to have everyone out, isn't there? Yeah.
Amazing.
There's
I
gonna be a lot.
I actually can't fathom how they've even had the mind space to.
I think everybody's got quick changes. There's three of us that have got 7 or 8 quick changes.
Yeah, we
Most
have
people
about
have
that.
got 10 costumes, maybe more.
Yeah. Harrison, don't you
It's
have
a
like
massive job.
a 19-20 second quick change at one stage?
Yeah, and I have to like do all these buttons on this coat that I'm gonna sweat in. But I've never been in a production where, not saying the costume is as important, but it kind of
is.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insane. It's so cool though.
The attention to detail's amazing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Crazy.
At least there's one bonus these days with them having a lot of LED lighting in the theatre now. It's not as warm as it used to be.
I'll remember that. It could be worse when
I'm
we're
not going
hot.
to say you're going to be cool
Yeah.
or comfortable, but it won't be as hot as it could
have
be.
been.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
shows
be
that I've
good.
done 20 years ago when it's all big parkans with extra parkans around them, and it's just, yeah, you're just sweating by walking on stage. It's been horrendous, but yeah, LED lights now makes it much easier.
So good.
'Cause
That's really good.
When they did Sing in the Rain a few years ago, I thought, oh, it's great, because the big number with the rain is at the end of the first half, or this is the first one anyway, is the end of the first half.
Yeah.
So they sweep they spend the interval then just sweeping it all down. I thought, great, just whack the lights on full. And they go, can't, because they're LEDs. there's no heat
Yes.
coming out of them to dry the stage out.
Yeah.
So
Oh gosh.
don't think about that these days, isn't
Yeah,
it?
new technology, new problems, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Right, so anyway, so 42nd Street, it's been around for a while. Most people will know the rough idea of the story, but for those who don't, for those who've been living under a rock, can you give us a bit of an overview of the story? And I'm looking at Kate because I think the boys have only been here for a few days, so...
Oh, I think they know the story. So I'll start and then you guys can fill. It's 1930s. People haven't worked for a long time. There's been a recession. Everyone's been out of jobs. Things are starting to pick up. And there's a director-producer, Julian Marsh, who wants to do one more glitzy show before he retires. So he gathers people together and we do auditions and he gets the writers and they make a show. And then the story of 42nd Street is, how do we put this show on?
Right.
And there's twists and turns as you go along. Which city are we going to start in, and why do we have to move it, and what happens to the cast, and this, that, and the other. And
Show within the show, then.
yes, there is show within a show, which I think we've just about got our heads round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have been confused.
That
About
was-
which number is that? Is that a real number, or
Yeah.
is it a show number? Yes. So the show is Pretty Lady.
Right.
That's within 42nd Street. And there's a young girl that turns up from a small American town that wants to make it on Broadway. And the story is also about her and how she does or doesn't do that, with lots of twists and turns.
So that's Peggy Sawyer,
That's Peggy Sawyer.
Miss Peggy Sawyer,
and she's being played by Natalie Nixon.
the legend herself.
Amazing Natalie Nixon.
I think her
She's
take on it
special.
is so perfect. Like how she plays it is quite well. Obviously, you're gonna have to come and see it yourself, but
Obviously,
quite
I know.
obviously.
Yeah.
But her take is nothing like I've ever seen any person play Peggy Sawyer. I've seen 42nd Street like in an amateur production in Belfast once. It was amazing, and obviously the West End recording of it and stuff. But hers is spot on in my opinion. Anyway,
Right.
Of how it
that's
should be.
Yeah, how it should be played.
Nice.
High
She's
praise
such a
indeed.
likeable character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, I think we probably can see ourselves in her in some way.
yeah.
Like she's a chorus girl. She's got a big dream, and she's young and like ditzy at times, and it's it's really nice.
The word no doesn't really exist to her, does it?
No.
She's going to go and she's going to make this happen.
It's
Yeah.
like one of those. Where's the line between Peggy and Natalie? It's
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Natalie's
She is
making it.
perfect
Because
She's
she puts so much of herself in it. Like, she doesn't need to act and pretend to be likable because she just is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when you come into the rehearsal room, You can kind of get the vibe that she gives off, and because she puts so much of herself into Peggy, that just comes across quite naturally. Like she just doesn't really need to act a lot of that. Well, that aspect of it anyway.
I mean, we've got a great cast on board as well. I mean, obviously we've got Julian Marsh, that's played by Matt James, the big man himself,
The legend.
the legend, the man, the myth, the legend.
Perfect role for him.
Yeah.
So Dorothy Brock, then that's the leading lady who succumbs to an injury and puts Peggy into position, isn't it? That's being played by Chrissy Sutcliffe, and she's.
Oh, her numbers. There's one number in the first act that is going to bring the house down every single
100%.
night. Oh, it's just...
Her voice is divine. It's
Yeah.
effortless.
It's going to be one of those that the orchestra are going to be really, really patiently waiting to start again because everyone will just keep cheering.
Yeah.
Like it is that vibe.
Can we start now?
Yeah.
Kelvin be there with the bat and go.
Bless Kelvin.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll be like, right, okay.
That's enough now.
Yeah.
So Dorothy's partner then is Abner Dillon. Is that right? He's the producer, the man with the money.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was originally going to be played by Dr. Johnson Elling, but unfortunately he had to step away, and that's now being split between Toby Smith and Ian Dixon.
Yes. And they've been at rehearsals for literally 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they've come in and they've nailed the lines and they've just fitted right in and quite automatically done the trajectories that have already been mapped in the scenes. I don't quite know how to describe how they're slightly different to each other, but they are still both really great Abners.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really nice. I think there's one week and then
Toby's
week.
doing the first week, and then Ian takes over from the second Saturday through to the end of the run.
Yeah.
I remember Ian coming in for the first rehearsal and he was completely off script already, and I was like, wow. I was like, fairs. Okay.
Now, earlier this year, Ian was in the Douglas Choral Union production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and he played Frollo, and it was just amazing. His rendition of Hellfire was just chills. It was amazing. Then about 4 weeks later, the Manx Operatic Society were doing Sweeney Todd, and unfortunately we had to move our show back a whole week because half the cast came down with COVID, basically within about 24 hours of SITS probe.
Oh no!
Which was just a very scary time, and Ian stepped in for one of our big bases, and literally he came in with like a week. Well, he practically had about 2 rehearsals and a dress rehearsal and a couple of texts, and that was it. And he was on, and he was the person that was opening the show as well. It was just amazing that he stepped in, and then someone came back, but then someone else was out, so he stepped into that part and then stepped into that part.
The whole show.
It was brilliant. Just lots of little chorus parts here and there, and it was amazing just to jump in and pick everything up so quickly. It was amazing.
I can see him doing that though, to be fair, quite easily. Yeah. Like he just has that. I think he just has like the drive and stuff to like work really, really hard. Like I bet he was working around the clock to learn those lines and the harmonies and stuff. But
nothing ever seems to stress him.
No.
He's just the most chilled out, relaxed, laid back man I think I've ever met in my life.
He just can do it. Like that's the bottom line. Like he's just the man for the job, isn't he?
Yeah. So the writing duo then, which are Maggie Jones and Bert Barry, are played by Emma Cullen, my wife, and Ben Heath.
Oh, it's perfect for Emma. I mean, Emma fits into so many roles. She's done so many amazing things. But yeah, she's a very natural Maggie. She's always quite calm, cool, knows what she's doing. Yeah. A little bit of a leader of the group. The writers, I think they have to work a little bit on having kind of ego, but they're not roaming the stage. They just work with Julie, and they're not trying to kind of get one over on the cast or prove they're better than anybody else. And her and Ben work really, really well together.
Yeah, and they can both bounce off each other as well. Like they're both quite naturally funny anyway.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to see in rehearsals when they're both just taking everything to the next level with each other. It's not just one of them; it's both. Yeah, which is nice.
Brilliant. Now, who is who from this point onwards gets a little bit hazy for me. So we've got Anne Riley as Kate Stobart.
Yes.
So what's your character?
That's me. So I suppose I'm a bit of an old timer in the chorus girl section. So I'm walking back in looking for a job, expecting to get a job because I know all these guys from 5-10 years ago. But can I actually still get the job?
Yeah.
And I think everybody's a bit like that at the start of the show is, are we going to work again? We really want to work again. Or we want to work for these people. And there's sort of a little scutch of main chorus girls that follow Peggy through the story with her. And Anne Riley is just maybe slightly the little leader of that group.
Right.
Yeah.
So assuming those other girls then are Phyllis Dale, which is
Yes.
Lois Mooney,
Yes.
Lorraine Fleming, which is Millie Christian,
Yes.
Gladys, which is Misha Quayle, and Ethel Julia Bratty.
Yeah, that's our little troupe. So we take Peggy under our wing, and she comes and joins in, and we take her under the wing, and then just her little friends throughout the show, really, aren't
Yeah.
we?
And you kind of are the reason that she becomes.
Yeah, she sort of has to pass a test with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
We kind of bump into her, and it's sort of like, well, if you think you can join in with us, go on then. And
Yeah.
then she just knocks our socks off. And then when Chrissy has the accident and we need somebody, it's me that really pushes to. So Anne has a bit of a flip, doesn't she? She comes across quite hard, bit of old timer, kind of can't get anything past me, but she really does support and make Peggy and get her in at the end.
Yeah. Pushes her forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So in the guys then, I mean, there's some great guys here. We've got Tony Eccles as Billy Lawler and Christian Cooper as Andy Lee.
Both of them are
They're
phenomenal.
insane. Tony's voice is
Oh,
amazing.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Like
yeah.
butter.
And Christian's stage presence is ridiculous. Like, in every step he takes and every walk he does, like, every single step in the dances, when he dances, it looks like he's just bouncing on clouds.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can describe it. Like, it's insane. It's ridiculous.
He's so striking.
Yeah.
Like, he stands out in that room, and he's a pleasure to watch.
Last year in a chorus line, I forget the name of the character now, but he's the one that has the
He was
big
incredible.
monologue.
Oh,
about how-
yeah.
I would
Oh,
have loved to have seen that.
it was amazing. It was
Wow.
amazing. I may have been responsible for a round of applause after that one night for leading a round of applause. It was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
He's
So
fantastic.
he's the choreographer in this when they're
Right.
making the show, and Tony is the lead actor. So he is like the star name that's
The
gonna
matinee idol.
drag the punters. Yes.
Love that role.
Mm.
He's it's such a fun role.
It's so
Billy.
opposite to him.
Is that a tick box for the future, is it?
I'd love that. I'd happily, yeah.
Who else have we got? Oh, we've got Olive, which is Mandy Griffin, and Mac, which is Peter Shimon, and Pat Denning, who is Mark Doherty.
Mandy is playing piano live on stage.
Oh, right.
So it's live accompaniment for some of the songs.
No pressure for Mandy then.
And she's doing amazing. Then she's getting some really beautiful
Yeah.
ad libs in
Yeah.
now, isn't she? So she is going to steal the show.
I think so.
And the contender for stealing the show, other than her, is Peter Shimon Mac, because he's meant to be a stage manager and people trying to hand him things, and he's eye rolling left, right, and centre. And there's so much to watch.
Yeah.
You're just not going to see it all.
Yeah.
Seeing it once, there's just so many little details.
So what you're
Yeah.
saying is in the
Both weeks,
weeks, multiple viewings,
all 3 weekends.
In the benefit of selling lots of tickets, you've got to come and see it at least twice, preferably 3 times.
Absolutely. I'd say so.
Yeah, and then Mark Doherty is a love interest for Miss Brock, which can make things a bit complicated, seeing as she's trying to be wooing the sponsor to
Yes.
fund the whole show.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just little layers to plots, and everybody's got a little story that weaves through 42nd Street. So that's the layer in there.
A bit of a dilemma then for Dorothy about
Yes.
the man that she kind of needs to fund the show and the guy that she really wants to be with.
Yes.
Right. Okay, folks. So then looking down to the male ensemble, we've got David Britton, Matty Rycroft, Oliver Sykes, Harrison Langham, and Rhys McGowan. And on the ladies, we've got Kaylee Plumley, Cheryl Moon, Gaynor Denham, Jill Goss, Narissa Taverner, Sarah Kenyuk, Shannon Dallison, Tracy Hepworth, and Grace Pope. That's
us.
it's a great cast. It's
Full, everyone's really great.
Yeah.
Everyone's
That's
really
the-
nice.
That's the family.
Yeah, that's us.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast with Neil Callan.
So let's get to find out a little about you guys. Take us back a few years. How did you get started, Harrison? What was it that sort of first got the bug for you?
I think I've always grown up singing and dancing. Just like, I think the first big thing for me was probably, it sounds cringe, but like The Wizard of Oz and
Yeah.
things really cringe, but things like High School Musical. And I remember I was in the supermarket with my mum one day, and she was just like, Harrison, why don't you start drama classes? And I was only like 7, and I started drama and I loved it, and then I got pushed to do ballet and didn't love that so much at first, but I'm very grateful I did it.
That foundation.
Yeah, it's really important. And singing, love it. Yeah, so good.
So that's in Billinge then, back in Lancashire.
It was kind of the place for me was Elizabeth Hill, and that was like a local dance school, and I would not be the performer I am today if it wasn't for them. Although it was like really close to me, I think it's one of the best, and it's really great.
Yeah, on the Isle of Man here we have the Christine Wilde Theatre School, and that's where you'll find a lot of the probably all the older girls within the cast will have been through there. So Emma and Julia, and I'm guessing Kate is nodding at me as well, and Misha, I think, and Lois.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dynasty, really, because we're all knocking on 40 now, and I don't have children, but those with children have gone through it, or people my age have now set up all their own schools, and just the island is just spoilt for choice, and it's just all come back to that in the 90s. It's incredible what she did for us.
A few years ago, one of the shows that Christine did, I think it was a Christmas show, what she'd found was that a lot of the young girls within her school were actually daughters of previous students.
Yeah.
So I think the centre page of the programme was a big photo of all of the old Christine girls with all of their daughters. It was a lovely photo.
That's so lovely.
Because my daughter was at Christine's for a while, tapping and sort of ballet. She's into hip hop and stunt, cheer, and
everything
stuff like that
so
these days.
Now.
Yeah, she loves it. She's dinky, but she's a flyer when it comes to the stunt work. So she gets thrown around all over the place. Loves it. So yes, that Elizabeth Hill then, that was St Helens then, yeah?
Yeah.
So did that lead on then to the stage box?
Yeah, it did actually. So I auditioned for that when I was 11, and it specialises in musical theatre and TV and film, and that was the big kind of next step for me, and they were the reason I auditioned for Matilda, and I'll never forget that experience.
So that was Matilda in the West End?
Yeah.
And you were part of that cast?
Yeah, insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I didn't appreciate it. Well, I did, but I just didn't understand how much of a huge deal it was, and how much it would impact me forever, and how much I learnt from it. And it's definitely one of the big reasons that I'm at Arts Ed. And it was very, very grateful for that. Yeah.
Tim Minchin's music in that show is fantastic.
It's stunning. Yeah, I think it's the best kids show. And the kids are literally what make it. They are like machines. It's crazy. Yeah.
So which part did you play?
I played Bruce.
Bruce Bogtrotter.
Who eats the cake.
Eats the cake.
That's amazing.
Which is so funny because it's nothing like you at
it's really
all.
not.
Literal polar opposites.
But he's such a great character, and like he's always on.
So cool.
The audience always has him on their side. And yeah, it's just funny, and yeah, really good.
Brilliant. So Reese, that you've not been in it quite as long as.
No, not really.
You're a bit more of a recent addition to it.
Yeah. Well, my family's like quite musical anyway. Like my mum would sing and stuff like that. Not professionally or anything, just like at mass and Sundays and stuff like that. But she kind of got me into it from when I was really young. And then when I kind of hit the 12 stage, or like 12, 13, I was like, no, I don't want to do this. That's weird and all this stuff. And then I turned 14. And I remember like just being really into the New Year, New Me side of things when I was 14 and like loving that. And then, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll start singing lessons again. So I started singing lessons, and then that was kind of it. Like it was quite casual. And then I was coming out one time when my granny collected me in the car, and she was reading the newspaper, and there's an audition box for West Side Story, just at like my local theatre. And she's like, oh, you should go for this. And I was like, oh, well, I don't really know what it is. What's it about? And then she kind of explained it to me because she loves the old musicals and stuff. And then, I auditioned for it. I hadn't danced before or anything like that. And then I got in just like as a little ensemble member. And then as soon as I started the rehearsals, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. Like, there's no point in looking for something else. Like, this is it. I found it. Do you know what I mean?
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Did you go to dance? Like, you dance amazingly. You really just started. Like,
thanks.
How have you done that?
Well, I did shows, like just little amateur shows up until I was 16, but I went away from home then when I was 16, and I moved to England by accident. Basically.
got on the wrong boat.
By accident. Well, I went for like a little like West End workshop with a college called Emile Dale Academy, who was touring around the UK, just doing what I thought was like workshops with different professionals. And then what I didn't realise was in the workshop they were auditioning people, not formally, just as was watching you work and stuff. And then I got asked to stay with a few of my friends. Stayed. And then they were like, do you have a song? And I was like, yeah, Burn from Hamilton, which is like a girl's song. Didn't know any other, like, didn't have any other musical theatre songs or anything. I was like, oh, I'll just sing this. It was way too low for me because it was in a girl's key, and I couldn't sing way up in the sky, like, do you know what I mean? And then sang that, and then the guy who was doing the audition, Tim Evans, who I think actually might have been MD in Matilda at one stage as well.
Yeah, well, he still does it.
No way!
Which is crazy.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
And is he your singing teacher?
No, I wish. Hopefully
Maybe
next year.
Maybe
Yeah,
next
hopefully next year. But yeah, he was like, the song's not, like, you don't use the song, so if we give you another recall to London, can you bring another song? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then got an email later that week asking to come to London, did the recall in London, and then I got in. And I went when I was 16.
So is that for college?
Yeah, like a sixth form.
Tony
which is
Eccles has
so
a very
lucky.
similar story.
Really?
There was workshops at Ballacameen School from Hammond. Hammond had big
Oh,
that school,
yeah.
and they'd come over and they were doing workshops, and he knew nothing about it. And Adrian Burnett, who I think she was either the prime minister, the headmaster, head teacher. She was either well, there's a vacancy, and she's just retired as well.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
so she was either the head teacher or she was still a drama teacher at the time, and she sort of persuaded Tony to go down and take part in this workshop, and he got offered a place at Hammond off the back of it, and he was
Crazy.
like, "Who? What?"
Yeah,
That's amazing.
it's mad.
It's crazy how these things come around when you
It
don't
is.
even intend to do it.
And it's weird how it all pans out as well, because I only ended up doing the first year of the sixth form because when COVID hit, you couldn't leave Ireland. Like, you just couldn't get out of the country. So that was that done, basically.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But if I hadn't have had that 1 year, even at EDA, I don't think I would have... there's no way, actually, I would have gotten into art ed at all, because I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And who knows if I'd even have kept up musical theatre
Yeah.
if I hadn't have went. I could have just got bored of doing shows and then stopped.
Yeah.
So it's mad. Like, I'm such a believer of everything happens for a reason as well, which
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
a bit wet, but like, yeah, I think it does.
I know.
secretly.
I agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
things happen for a reason. I
Yeah.
tried to get away to drama school, and I didn't go. I ended up staying here on the island, but then I met Emma, and it's like,
Yeah.
just as she came back from London. So it's, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so Kate, how did you get started?
I, from basically walking, couldn't stop singing, dancing, bashing anyone's piano keys
Yeah.
at home when I was a podgy little toddler, and finally persuaded my mum to get me some lessons. I lived next door to the wonderful Eleanor Shimon, so instead of taking me on at 9, she took me on at 7 for piano. Oh, and I just practice every single day. And then I went to Christine Wilde. I think I went to Marilyn Maudsley for a few years before that, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And I just would run around like a ballerina the whole time and
Yeah.
was just absolutely obsessed. So then I went to Ballacameen and I did the shows at Ballacameen. I did Christine shows, the pantomimes, things like that. And
Yeah.
then I went off to uni to train in physiotherapy, and I never really found anything.
Yeah.
In England, you were either a professional or you were a teacher.
Yeah.
So I never really found anything, and then I moved home 12 years later, and I'd been back a while and seen the shows, and Mark Doherty persuaded me because they needed tap dancers for producers.
Yeah.
And he goes, I was like, oh, I can't do that. And he's just said, what are you doing? Whatever night it was, Tuesday at 7. Yeah, I can make it from work then. And I found these tap shoes that were older than some of the people in the room.
Oh, my God.
Probably as old as you guys, but not older than you two now, because this is 5 years ago. Put them on, and my feet remembered it. And the reason he got me there was because he said, look, it's free.
Yeah.
It's half an hour. What are you going to lose?
Yeah.
And I was nothing. And then like the bug came back.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I just want to get in. I don't want any part. And then I turned up for the audition, and suddenly this fire and I was like, I really care about this. So I was just, and then that was it. And so that was a DCU show. And then I made some lovely friends there, Hannah Taylor and Jem Last, and they persuaded me to do Sweet Charity. And then
Yeah.
I stayed with them for a few years, doing a few shows. And then I regretted not doing Singing in the Rain. I saw that tap. So when 42nd Street came round, I was like, right,
Yes.
stop everything. I need to be in this
She's coming.
show. And that's it. Here we are.
And I suppose being a professional physiotherapist as well has been quite helpful in the rehearsal room, is it, for the old strains and aches and pains around the place?
Not too bad. It's sort of a can of worms you try and avoid opening.
Yeah.
But there has been only one or two kind of urgencies that I've needed. But we're fully stocked for backstage.
Right.
Jenny's used me. We've got ice packs, we've got tape, we've got bandages just in case. So yeah, that'll be
Emma-
good for backstage.
Emma did Avenue Q a few years ago. Well, she did it twice, actually, with David Dawson.
Yeah, you guys needed. Was it
And
Michelle that came
They
in?
had Michelle
so-
Breed, and because
Yeah.
they're spending all the time
All
with
the
their arm in a
shoulder and
puddle
neck
like this, so
pain,
she was
yeah.
massaging most of them backstage every night after the
Right,
show just to
yeah.
loosen their shoulders off. But very useful skill to have.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the other questions then. So we've talked about how we all got started in our first roles, but what's the dream role that people would love to play?
Who wants to go first?
You go first.
I went to see Mary Poppins 2 months ago, maybe, and I didn't know anything about it because I just hadn't watched the movie or anything like that. And as soon as I saw Charlie Stemper's Bert, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That is the dream. That's the absolute dream. Because he tap dances upside down, like from the top of the, like from the roof of the stage. And you're like, what the heck? Like, it's crazy. And I went, yeah.
That one.
That would
I want
that'd be great, yeah.
Dear Santa.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. At the moment, it is probably Billy in Anything Goes.
Yeah.
I've managed to see it 3 times while it's been back. It's probably that. But I think it's such a hard question to answer as well, because you don't want to just dream just about one role and like put yourself like in a box or anything. But yeah, it's really good.
It changes as you get older as well. I mean, obviously there are some roles in shows that come out now that I'm too old to play, and I'll never get to play those parts. So, but there are some things that as I change and as I grow older and change in physique as well, I have to appreciate that I can no longer play that young part. I've got to look at the dad roles now. So when for years I was like Leo Bloom. I want to play Leo Bloom. These days I'm more like a Max Bialystock than a Leo Bloom. But and that was something as well. That's something that actually took me quite a few years to get my head around, the fact that I'm not going to play that part because that part's a little weakling, little sort of skinny person. I'm quite broad and can be quite imposing of character sometimes. So it's like, okay, so I have to the reason why I'm not getting cast in those roles is because of my build and my physicality rather than
You have to work with it, don't you?
Yeah. So what about you, Kate? What's your
Well,
dream?
keeping all the rules suspended and the dream alive, mine would still be Thelma from Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Mind
amazing,
you,
isn't it?
Velma is supposed to be an older lady anyway. She's supposed to be on the sort of the way out of her career, the end of her career rather, and then Roxy comes in as the new pretender.
Yeah, that is very true. Oh, I just love to see it over here. We need to get these rules bent and get it over here.
It was done in 2005. You must have been away at university that time.
I graduated that year, yeah.
I played Amos Hart.
Did you?
Yeah, it was one of my favourites, to be honest. I did love the part of Amos. It was fantastic. Yeah, I think
it's just a good classic one. That,
I think if the opportunity came around to play Amos again, I'd definitely jump at that one again.
Amazing.
Reese, now you said earlier on you had an idea of what the part that you were born to play.
Oh,
You had a good answer for that one.
it wasn't even a good answer. I think I was just really excited about it because I thought of it in the car.
Got one.
I was like, oh my god. Well, I don't know. It sounds so silly, but I just think Olaf and Frozen, like he literally is just oblivious to everything. And I'm not gonna lie, like my dyslexic brain sometimes doesn't have a clue what's going on. He melts in the sun. I sunburn so badly. I think that's just the vibe.
That's your Irish genes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I literally go red. I get burn and peel. I never ever tan. Never.
You are Olaf.
Such a cute role. You'll have to do it.
It's so
You will
fun.
do it.
It's so fun. Imagine.
Right. Okay. So this one often is an interesting one. So this is our best and worst costume, and quite often this is the same answer for a lot of people. They'll come in and say it's the best costume because it looked amazing, but my word, it was hot. It was sweaty. It was just stiff, tight, awkward. Guys, Harrison, what's the best and or worst costume that you've ever had to wear?
I think the worst was probably playing Mowgli in The Jungle Book. Because there just wasn't much of it, and
there was no costume.
There was no costume, and I was like 9, and it was really fun though. And
Budgie smugglers,
yeah, literally, just yeah. But my best, I'm gonna just have to say Bruce in Matilda. Just the fat suit, it was striking to say the least. It was so good. Yeah.
I hope there are photos. That you can share with us.
I can.
Did it take ages to get in?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were like designed for us as well. Like they had like little boobs and like the little bum cheeks. It was great. And
did they have to do like a body cast to make it for you, or was it just sort of?
It was like done with like measurements, obviously. And it was quite funny to see it without just in the flesh, like with. But yeah.
Kate, how about you? Best worst costume?
Oh,
Bit more tissue was a good one.
that was amazing. That it was sort of everything. It was the hair, and it was the makeup, and it was the theme and the attitude and the music and the lights. She sort of was a dream role, kind of born to play role, come true, really. When I was 17, I played the Tin Man at high school, and I'm forever grateful that I kind of got to get a principal. But at 17, yes, that one.
With Danny Bryson and Simon Maudsley?
Yes,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So I was their Tin Man. So yes, it was amazing to get a principal. But a 17-year-old girl that's not too sure about herself and turning into a woman and everything, it was,
sprayed silver and
a little bit mortifying. So the costume was amazing because Janet Norris was still there. So
Yes.
she still had her performing arts students, and they just built props and sets, and the room was amazing with everything, and they built it as part of their A-level or GCSE piece. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just more of the fact I was a 17-year-old girl having to be the Tin Man. But, that wasn't. And then the grannies and producers.
I was going to say, is it something with the producers?
The grannies and producers. I mean, the costume, it was awful. It was nylon, and we had these wigs and we had these Zimmer frames, but it was just such a momentous number.
Yeah.
It was.
I remember watching it.
It'll always be infamous, that number.
There was no way of telling who was who in those grannies because
just
they all had the same wig.
grannies.
And
These blue dresses that were horrid, but on stage they looked amazing. Chasing people around with Zimmer frames.
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes. I mean, I've done plays with societies on the Isle of Man that don't quite have the same budget that Tellurian do, and a lot of the costumes will have come from Oxfam or Red Cross in the street, and you're thinking, really? But then somehow, when they're lit, they look amazing. It's like, how can my outfit, which cost £3, look so good lit under these lights on the stage? It's crazy.
I think my best costume will probably be from 42nd Street, and I'll spoil for choice.
Yeah.
Because I've never had sort of like a showgirl headdress before, and there's one like that, and then there's quite a small evening party scene, and everybody's frocks are incredible, like
They're
velvet
class.
and lace, and so I think I'm about to rewrite kind of best costume.
Okay, Reese, what about yourself? You probably haven't got quite as many to choose from as Harrison and Kate, but
I did a Wizard of Oz when I was 14, and I hadn't quite grown up yet, to put it like that, and they thought it would be funny to make me the mayor of Munchkinland. And it was not funny to me. Like, the trousers they gave me, you could literally fit 3 of me in, and then so they gave me this pillow for a fat suit, but the theatre was so warm because there was no aircon at all. I don't even know if it was the costume that made it so bad. I think it was just like the experience of like just being petrified as a 14-year-old to play the mayor of Munchkinland and everybody laughing at you, and like had no mic, so you just had to shout it and stuff like that, and
Brilliant.
My voice was breaking at the time, and like, it was just a disaster. An absolute disaster. Best costume, genuinely, I'm not just saying this because we're talking about 42nd Street, but I will be wearing it next week.
Yeah.
There's one specific costume at the end of the show and one specific pair of shoes that I will never get over, ever.
I've not seen them. Oh, what is it?
I think you might have.
Oh,
You just don't know what ones I'm talking about because there's like night bears.
we can't wait. Yeah, there's smart shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very
definitely
stylish.
next week. I'll show you a photo.
Okay. After. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the next questions then. This is a fun one. Now, actually, sometimes the guys find this one a little bit more tricky than the girls, actually. So this is the gender swap question. So which role would you play of the opposite gender if you could? Harrison?
Elwood's in the background.
Full stop.
Well,
No hesitation.
done. Fair enough.
Because
She's just amazing.
she is an icon.
Yeah.
And the songs are incredible. I wish I could do that.
She is a sleigh.
She is a walking sleigh. But yeah.
Kate?
So I found it really hard to actually pick a guy for gender swap, because I actually do focus more on female roles. I thought I'd be open to both, but playing a kind of a baddie would be quite good. So I think I'd pick the engineer in Miss Saigon.
Oh, that is a wonderful part. I mean, David Artis played that.
It's probably because he did it, and he did it so well. He made it look so fun. I was like, yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, that would be on the list of the roles that I would want to play as well. It's such a great part to get your teeth into. It's fantastic. Reese?
I think, like, guys, I'm just going to have to say Tanya from Mamma Mia. Like, can you imagine how much fun you would have every single night just singing Does Your Mother Know? It would be hilarious. Like,
Love
I just think it would be class.
I saw Mamma Mia in the West End 15, 20 years ago, and just remember some of the scenes are quite well written. Some of them are a bit of a link through to the next song.
Yeah.
And when Tanya or the other one turns around to Donna and says, "No, listen here, Chiquitita."
Oh, everyone, you're going to roll your eyes with it, don't you?
We know which song's coming next then.
Yeah.
It's just the one and only time in the entire show she refers to her as Chiquitita.
That would be fun. Is she the one in dungarees?
No,
Don't know.
she's the... Do you know Donna's, like, best friends? Yeah. She's one of the dynamos. Nice. She is a legend.
Yeah, she's like the Kim Cattrall type character of the two of them, yeah.
She's so funny.
It's brilliant. Right, so 2 years ago, just after the first lockdown, and we had a little bit of a time when we didn't do anything, but then we managed to get back after lockdown, and one of my friends was setting up a Spotify playlist, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So what we did, Neil King and myself, at the time, we set up the playlist, and we chose 10 songs each to get it started, because no one wants to listen to a playlist with 2 songs. Yeah. So we chose 10 songs each, and these are songs that either we've performed, they've been in shows that we've been in, or they just mean something to us. They're really, really personal to us. So those were our 10 songs. Then every person that's been on the podcast since then has chosen a song to add to the list. So some of the ones that we've got, and I'll try and pick out ones of people that we know. So we've got Emma Callan. She chose the Overture from West Side Story. She wanted a song from West Side Story, couldn't decide on which, and thought, it's an old school overture, it's got them all in there, that'll do.
Smart girl.
Ian Dixon chose Who I'd Be from Shrek the Musical. Chrissy Sutcliffe chose I Am What I Am from La Cage aux Folles. Tony Eccles chose When I Grow Up from Matilda. And Natalie chose Immaculate Deception from 35mm. A show that I've never heard of.
Never have I.
I think I've heard one song from that.
Yeah.
But I need to properly listen to it. Yeah.
It is, yeah. It's some powerful stuff in that show. So, Harrison, Kate, Reese, which song would you like to add and why?
I would probably add Corner of the Sky from Pippin.
Oh, beautiful.
Not only does it have just like a place in my heart, but it's just such a great song. It's about a young boy, he's ambitious and he wants a lot out of life, but he later in the show comes to realise that everything you need is kind of already around you, and I think that's just like a lovely message, and like when you realise what's really important, it's like comforting, and yeah, love that.
Brilliant. Kate?
Oh, I'm torn. What are you saying?
I'm gonna...
So we'll jump to Reese.
Yeah, I want to see what he says first.
I saw 2 weeks ago the Back to the Future musical in the West End.
I am there in like 3 weeks and I cannot wait.
It was the best musical I have ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, you're making me so happy.
I didn't think like, because it's a movie musical, I was like, oh, like, I don't think the script will be great. Like, the songs probably won't be great. It was the best thing I've ever seen. Literally, the most feel-good show. You cried, like, from happiness and stuff. Like, it was so, like, funny. It was just great. And there's a song in it called Gotta Start Somewhere that Cedric Neal sings.
Yes.
And it is the most feel-good song in the entire world. And in the cast recording, he's riffing for days. Like, he is just so talented. But in real life, I was like, surely not. Like, surely he won't do what he did in the cast recording. Oh my God, he left the cast recording to pieces. Like, he just was going all over the place. And it was clean riffs as well. Sometimes people riff and it's not very clean, and it's like, oh, you kind of made it. Every single note was just perfect, and because it's like such a feel-good song, he had literally, it was like the middle of the first act or something, and he had everybody standing on their feet, like applauding, and it was crazy. And just the musical as well is, you're gonna love it.
I'm there on the 22nd, and I'm absolutely gutted that Ollie Dobson finishes on the 15th.
Well, I didn't see Ollie Dobson. I saw his understudy, and his understudy was amazing, so I wouldn't even worry. Yeah.
Well, actually, his replacement that's coming in from Jersey Boys, so he's going to be amazing as well. I forget what his name is right now, but he's
what is it? It'll come back to me.
Yeah, but I mean, I can imagine coming from Jersey Boys, he's going to be pretty amazing as well. So,
wow.
Right, Kate, have you made a decision? Have you tossed a coin and worked out which one's going to be?
Do I need to say a 42nd Street one?
Not at all.
To be loyal. Oh, I got that bit. It has to be Gethsemane.
Oh,
it is the best musical song of all time.
Yeah.
I am just saying.
So true.
And yes, it's not light entertainment for a podcast, but if
you had 3 minutes to explain what musicals are.
Yeah.
It does everything. It's light, it's dark, it's hope, it's desolation, and yeah.
It's the
You've
high
got a
note
whole
at the
musical
end
just
as
in
well.
one song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be Gethsemane. I don't think I can even say it right. Is it
Gethsemane.
Gethsemane.
Yes.
Gethsemane.
Don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, there's been 3 productions of Jesus Christ Superstar on the island in the last 30 years, and we had Ernie Thorne played it back in sort of 1980-something, Matthew Quinn in about 2005, and then about 5 years ago we had Matt Crear. Yes, and just the performances of Gethsemane were just...
I could listen to him sing that all day. He's amazing.
If you could pick one now, what would you pick? I know you've picked like once
10.
before, but for right now.
For right now, oh yeah, because I mean it was 3 years ago when I first picked that list. I think, having only heard it this week, I would choose "Let's Pretend" from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, I haven't listened to that yet.
It's amazing. So my friend Matt Overfield, he's a guy in the island, from the island originally. He's working professionally in London. He's been in all sorts of shows, but he's now going into the cast of Mrs. Doubtfire. Wow. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier in my introduction, that he's actually going in. He's covering 3 roles. He's covering the brother Frank. He's covering Mr. Jolly, but he's also one of the covers for Daniel and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Nice.
Wow.
And I was just sat listening to it off the back of him listening. And fortunately, it was on Tuesday when I was working from home. And Let's Pretend came on, and I was just a mess. I was in floods.
I'm going to write that down.
Is it when he decides to try and see his kids by being the nanny?
Well, no. It's towards the end. So it's when he's been discovered as being Mrs. Doubtfire, and they're trying to not necessarily make a go of things, but he's having a conversation with his eldest daughter that they can't be a family as they were. He has to be her dad, and I mean, I've got an 11-year-old daughter, but she'll be 12 in 3 days, so she keeps telling me. So it's that. I mean, it's kind of like it's the father-daughter equivalent of "He's My Boy" from Everybody's Talking About Jamie.
That was
yeah.
I nearly said that one today. Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen my boy Daniel, but he is white blonde, so "He's My Boy" it sets Emma off.
Yeah.
Floods.
Yeah.
But that would be my new addition,
Wow.
but personally for myself.
Amazing.
It's a brilliant song. One thing I do like to ask, actually, at this point, for the young groovy guys in the room, so you guys at drama school, you're probably getting exposure to new musicals and stuff that we probably haven't heard of yet. So what new shows are you listening to?
There's a musical that Christian in the cast just introduced me to this week called In Pieces. I think it's written by Joey Contreras, and there's a song in it called Me and Mr. Popularity, and it is just beautiful. I've been listening to it on repeat all week, but I definitely go for that musical because there's so many lovely songs in it. It's great. It's really, really great.
Brilliant. Harrison, have you got anything?
Ooh, maybe The Boy in the Dress, the RSC.
The David Walliams.
Yeah. It's a lovely story, and I think the songs are actually great. It's like a pop. It's incredible. I definitely recommend it.
Matty Cannell, originally from the Isle of Man, he was in the cast of that.
Really?
Yes. So
God, we get everywhere, don't we, as Manxies?
Do you know? And we're getting everywhere at the moment as well.
Yeah.
It's getting big. It's amazing how many Manxies are out there in big shows in London. We've got Ben Caron playing JD and the Heathers at the moment, and obviously we've got Samantha Barks as. Oh my lord! How on earth can I forget
Elsa.
With a child that
in
grew up
Frozen
as well.
Oh, and she was obsessed.
Yes.
She was
She was
obsessed
in
with
perfect
Frozen as
age
well.
to be obsessed.
Wow.
Yeah. And we've got so many people that are off on tour around the country. We've got Damien Neal, he's on tour in Les Mis at the moment as the understudy for Javert. And,
Wow.
and just they're everywhere. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. Right, okay. So I think that's about us, guys. So just looking back to the show then. So the show runs at the Gaiety from this Saturday, which is the 6th of August, through to Saturday the 20th of August. And there are no Sunday shows, so you're getting the Sundays off, which is great. So if you haven't done already, get your tickets now from villagaiety.com or by calling 600 555. So Harrison, Kate, Reese, thank you very much for joining me on the Manx Theatre Podcast. Wish you all the very, very best with the show, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
On the local scene, coming up next week at the Bell Community Studio Theatre, the All Island Theatre Company present Matilda Junior. It runs from the 10th to the 13th of August, and there are 2 shows per day at 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Tickets are £15 for adults and £12 for students and are available from thestudiotheatre.im. On the 10th of September, the Manx Youth Band and the Manx Concert Brass present the Manx Last Night of the Proms, featuring this year's Cleveland Gold Medal winner, Paul Costain. Don't forget that Centre Stage Productions are staging Grease at the Gaiety from the 24th of September to the 1st of October. On the 2nd of October, over the road at the Ville Marina, Stephen Palfreman and his West End pals present The Musicals in concert. This show will feature songs from all of your favourite West End shows performed by current and former West End performers. The show will also feature a group of children from Stephen's Stage Ed Summer School. On October the 21st and 22nd, the Move It Dance School present The Seven. This will be a dance show featuring the school students with a story based around the 7 deadly sins. Three Legs Productions are back hot off the heels of Once in August with Moana Jr. at the Gaiety Theatre from the 26th to the 29th of October. This is a youth production of Disney's popular movie which tells the tale of Moana, who enlists the help of demigod Maui to help restore the heart of Te Fiti and prevent the destruction of her home. Bringing up the back end of the year, before Panto, we have Stage Door Entertainment and their production of Elegies for Angels, Punks and Raging Queens at the Ballacamine Studio Theatre from the 24th to the 26th of November. Tickets are on sale now for all of these productions. So, there's plenty to look forward to in the coming months. Well, with that, we bring episode 37 to a close. Thanks once again to Kate, Reese and Harrison for joining me on the podcast, and we wish them and all at Tailoring Productions all the very best for 42nd Street, which opens this Saturday, the 6th of August at the Gaiety Theatre, and runs through to the 20th of August. Within those performances, on Tuesday the 9th of August is a relaxed performance. On Tuesday the 16th of August, there will be the usual caption performance, and on Thursday, August the 18th, there is the first British Sign Language interpreted performance. As I said earlier, if you haven't done so already, make sure to get your tickets now from thevillagaiety.com or by calling 600 555. Remember to like and follow our social media pages to get notifications of upcoming episodes and events. And don't forget to check out our Spotify playlist by searching for Manx Theatre Podcast, and that's all one word. If you have any events that you'd like us to talk about or promote on a future episode, you can contact us through our social media accounts or by email to manxtheatrepodcast@gmail.com. All that remains is to say thanks for listening, and I hope you join me again next time on the Manx Theatre Podcast. I've been Neil Callan. Goodbye.
The Manx Theatre Podcast, taking a look behind the scenes of Manx Theatre.
And happier than actors alive for me.